So with no further ado, we're going to start with Dragon Ball Z Movie 8, Broly, the Legendary Super Saiyan. Now, if you're even a shallow Dragon Ball fan, Broly doesn't really need that much introduction. But so I'll give a quick breakdown of the synopsis. Essentially, it's set sometime before the Cell games begin. The long running theory is that it takes place during the 10 days before the Cell game starts officially. Although, of course, there's a continuity error because Goku and Gohan would have been Super Saiyan the whole time, and they're not, and yada yada yada.
Ludicrous,
right? So there's always something. Like Tim said last time, it's just what ifs, right? So starts off, Goku and Chi-Chi are trying to get Gohan into school. It's very wholesome, right? Doing family things. Goku's stepping up and being the father that the fan base trashes him for not being. But hey, whatever, right? Meanwhile, everyone else is having a picnic in the park. A spaceship touches down. Paragus shows up, tells Vegeta he's another surviving Saiyan and that he needs his help to track down the legendary Super Saiyan. Vegeta, who would rather be doing anything else in the world than listen to Krillin sing, hops on the spaceship, joined by Gohan, Master Roshi, Krillin, Future Trunks, so on and so forth. They go to this barren planet. Meanwhile, Goku gets contacted by King Kai simultaneously to look for the legendary Super Saiyan who has just wiped out a galaxy. Right? Long story less long, Goku follows the key trail that leads him to where they currently are. Vegeta is being convinced that this planet that they're on is being renovated to become the new planet Vegeta from which he will be king. Meanwhile, Paragus is trying to kill him out of revenge for Vegeta's father, King Vegeta, attempting to kill both Paragus and Broly multiple years beforehand. Somehow, some way, nobody seems to realize that Broly is a legendary Super Saiyan, even though it's very, very obvious. Him and Goku get into a skirmish. He reveals his power. Paragus puts him under control. The light bulb finally switches on, and the next day they confront Paragus about Broly being the legendary Super Saiyan. Vegeta PTSD Saiyan instinct genes kick in, and he's traumatized when he realizes that Broly is the legendary Super Saiyan, and he's just standing by with a stuck face for about 20 minutes while everyone does their best to hold off Broly. Broly proceeds to beat down everyone literally for the next half hour straight until the last 10 minutes of the movie, where apparently the gimme your power is the most underrated technique in all of Dragon Ball, and Goku, who has been beaten half to death, punches Broly in the chest just seconds, and that's a key thing here, seconds before a meteorite bigger than the planet shows up and wipes the planet out. Meaning anyone who didn't get instant transmission at that time would probably be dead. Again, this is a key point in this movie. So I might have skipped a couple of the finer details, but fellas, let me, before I ask y'all how y'all think about this movie, right? Let me ask you guys a question. Do you like wrestling?
Love wrestling.
Used to,
right? Would you say that your love for wrestling came around the late 90s or early 2000s?
Yeah, I would say that.
That was a very pinnacle era.
Okay, right. I would agree, right? Do you like Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Love Dragon Ball Z.
Right. Well, then,
love it.
Then here you go. Here's Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan wrestler. No, right? Does that parallel track at all? That connection track for y'all?
I can see the similarities.
A blonde-haired, muscular guy who clotheslines and suplexes and from the top rope. Your favorite Saiyan and Alien Warriors? No? In the 2000s?
Are you saying Brock Lesnar and Broly are one and the same?
I'm not saying it, but I'm not saying it.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what the connection would have been in Japan, right? Maybe they just like Broly, but I'm like, I can definitely put two and two together in America of like, you want to talk about timing, perfect timing.
I mean, well, you could tell from like Android 13, that was just the trend of, if you want to make them super, just make them big with Super Saiyan style hair and copy and paste. We did it with this Android guy, but let's do it now with a Saiyan.
Yep. And mind you, remember, this is the Cell Saga. So we've been introduced to Super Vegeta with muscles, Super Trunks with muscles,
and Goku as well in the
and
hyperbolic term.
Goku as well.
But let's bring out a Saiyan that's bigger than all of them.
That's bigger than all of them, and he's fast, and he's legendary.
The Hulk Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan Hulk. Crazy, man.
Now,
So yeah, now I ask how y'all feel about.
I mean,
well, first before we talk about the character, how do y'all feel about the movie?
okay. The movie overall, I gave it a 6. It was just one of those things that you just put on the background just to enjoy. Like the only lore element that I really liked about I would say the legendary Super Saiyan, it means that the legendary Super Saiyan is the purest form of Super Saiyan. It's the purest form. So basically, yeah, all you yellow haired dudes, you're the 75%.
Yeah. The
75%.
secondary.
Like he is the full, like legit, and it's passed down from bloodline to bloodline for every 100 years, or I guess however long the time span of that particular Saiyan is. Um, and Broly's the current inheritor of that bloodline. So like, of course, it has the greenish yellowish tint. And then I just like it, the fact that he's basically like the Kenpachi of Saiyans in a sense. Like your power is always rising.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an enemy that you can't take lightly. That you can't enjoy the fight just for simply just enjoying it, like how Vegeta and Goku like to carry on, because you'll get killed.
Right. As the time goes on, he gets stronger. It's not a bad concept. I'll give it that. It's not a bad concept.
Yeah. And, I mean, you just got to jump to the future. I mean, they took those aspects and they made it better with the super version, but we won't go that far.
We won't go that far yet.
We won't go that far yet. But, yeah, it's a 6. It's a 6 out of for me.
It's interesting. It's a 6 out of 10. You said you something you play in the background. I'm taking notes.
And it's just like, all right, even the part where the reason why he doesn't like Goku, I kind of feel like it goes back to that whole fumble with Turles. Like, they have these interesting points about Saiyans, but then they just introduce something that is just weird. Like, instead of just making this dude, his twin brother, oh no, lower ranked Saiyans have similar to physical traits. Okay. Right. Oh, they were born the same day. So you mean to tell me that amongst their people, if they were born the same day, and you know how many babies are born the same day, that they're just going to naturally just have a hatred for each other? And that is your logic.
Not just any hatred, Tim. He remembered from the crib,
from the cradle. So like it's a blood memory. That's what you're trying to say. And it's like, come on, bro. Like, come on. Like, there's just so many things that they just, when it comes to these Saiyans, they just do too much sometimes. Mm-hmm. They really just do too much. When you've already created a simple path to follow.
Uh-huh. I'm just taking notes.
So I gave it a 6, man. I gave it a 6.
A 6?
Yeah.
Okay, for the plot. S-Rank, what about you? What do you think about the plot of Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan?
The plot, man. I honestly, the plot I thought it was fire, man. What, they're making a new planet Vegeta, but then at the same time, I'm going along with the story. I think I was watching the movie through Trunks' lens. Like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. Yo, you trust these dudes? I don't know. Like, what's going on? Like, you trust these dudes? So for me, Trunks was like the reasoning force throughout the whole film. He was the narrator for me, the real narrator for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching the movie.
He was the audience.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, Dad, you don't even know these guys. Paragus lead the way. I was like, yo, Vegeta, are you serious? I give it a 7. I give it a 7.5 because there was a lot of moments to where I was just like, the savagery was, to me, I just didn't think Dragon Ball Z characters could ever get beat up this bad. And the stuff that was happening to him was like terrifying. So for like this new person named Broly, and for him to be controlled because there's like bracelets or like ornaments that's controlling um a Saiyan's ability to actually overperform, I thought that was like, man, that's wild, man. Like, you really have to keep this guy's power under control. That's how crazy it is. But the reason why he hated Goku so much was just so whimsical. And the older I got, the more I thought about it, the more I hated it. Not especially hated what they did with Vegeta. I said, out of all people, Krillin getting busy too, but like none of this. Like, oh man, I couldn't believe how they was treating Vegeta in this, and I think that to me angered me. But as far as like the kill cam, the fatalities that was taking place, it was a fatality. Like Broly had 10 fatalities, man. You know what I'm saying? It was um, it was all of those things that made me like Broly from Goku, him walking through the Kamehameha
Mm-hmm.
to him uppercutting Trunks, and then the field goal kick with Piccolo. I never paused a VHS tape and walked out the room as a little kid so much because I was shattered. I'm watching it. I'm looking. I'm like, and then when he did the Gohan, I said, "Yo, forget it. It's over." Gohan flying away. He bursts through the window, the wall, and
Mm-hmm.
starts swimming inside the concrete building. Then grabs Gohan, and I was like, "It's
And mind you, this was
what?"
Gohan's first Super Saiyan debut in the
And
movies.
go and Gohan actually a Super Saiyan, right? For the longest, and he get thumped. Then you
Ragdolled.
got man, then the punch. Oh man, there's so many things going on with the Dragon Ball Z, man. When Broly started to lose control and he finally turned Super Saiyan, and I saw it got dark. He was
Mm-hmm.
pulling out all the light from the area. There's certain things you can't you after coming from Cooler's Revenge and all those other movies. Now we on this, and to see what was happening to them then. I was like, yeah, this dude is different, man. Who's gonna beat him? Who's
Mm-hmm.
gonna beat him? And then you find out that Cell's actually stronger. So it's like, okay, okay. He's not that
Mm-hmm.
legendary after all. Right? Yeah.
Actually,
He's
you
not.
won't know. Actually, you technically don't know because
Yeah.
remember
Oh
his
yeah, it's
power is
true.
always rising. So it's
It's
like
always it's
Yeah. So okay.
except for when the movie needs to end. Then
As far as the credits need to roll, right? But I wanted to like there was not enough depth to Broly because to me he was just a madman. Like I was like, okay, why is he doing what he does? You know, at that time for me, being evil for the sake of evil was okay. To me, that was Oscar nominated. Give me my Lunchables and popcorn and my
right.
Capri Sun.
You don't need much.
I don't
Yeah.
need much. But now you get older, you're like, nah, this wasn't. Yeah, okay. But the dynamic between him and his father, King Vegeta's a reason for taking out Broly made complete sense. 5 stars.
All the
That's why
sense in the world.
5 stars. A lot of things, a lot of the beats of the movie, they made a lot of sense. Just the execution. Towards the end, to me, the slugfest reminded me of Sephiroth versus Cloud. You know what I'm saying? With I said, man, Cloud, if this went on any longer, Sephiroth make a mistake and grow a second wing and just looks, Cloud, I thought you would kill me by now. You know, cause you know, Sephiroth sound like Keanu Reeves,
Mm.
but it's like, um, but after that, Broly's design is still top. That design is, this design helped me realize. It made me want it more because I thought Broly was probably from another tribe of Saiyans that were probably a little bit more, how do I say, tamed, more honor based because his just the way he's designed, he's dressed. He has
Mm.
a basically I don't know if you
He
would
was
call it a
designed by
crown.
Toriyama.
He was designed by
Toriyama
Toriyama.
design. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was designed well, and I thought his character design was amazing. He was terrifying. He was terrifying. He was just like a force of just a force, and he spoke. And when what he did to his dad, that made me look at Broly in a complete. When I saw him turn it into turn into a can.
This even the scene was great. The whole like, where are you going, Dad? Oh, I'm preparing the spaceship and a pod built for one.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, that's terrible, dog.
Yeah.
For me, I wanted Broly to stay in that form. I felt like he went into the savage mode too quickly, but at the same time, he's a lunatic, so why wouldn't he, right? Because his regular form was dope, and after that, him escalating, that was I think that would have been I think the Z fighters getting to that level of escalation. If Vegeta finally then gave that all hopelessness, all hope is lost after finally for so many hours we fighting this guy and nothing we do is working, for him to give that, for him to have that reaction would have been perfect, more acceptable. But
You
another
saying a
thing is,
lot of things that I'm about to bring up. Go ahead.
and then at the same time, this is amongst the era of where Dragon Ball Z's cinematography is hitting peaks and points, and we getting closer to the Fusion Reborn animation drawing and
Mm-hmm.
pristine just character
Choreography
design and
and yeah.
choreography. So I wanted more of that, Broly. The fake planet truffle. I wish they kind of. Now that I
You
think
could
of it,
you could you could say it, bro. You could say it. It's fine.
they should have.
You could,
They should have made it more like a mystery, right? More than who is the legendary Super Saiyan. You have all these candidates, right? Okay, he's not it. He's not it. Oh, wait. Him? That would have been probably the best way to do this movie when I look at it.
mm-hmm.
And then that being the reveal, but it just seems a little bit too much not mechanical, but too in depth for a Dragon Ball Z script to be.
Yeah,
Is
because
it
you would
though?
because you would have to introduce multiple Saiyans,
You would have to introduce multiple Saiyans. And
Is,
and that kind of defeats the purpose of, oh yeah, Goku and Vegeta are literally the last remaining few, and then you got this dad and his son.
mm-hmm.
which would have been okay if, but the thing is, we already seen more than one last remaining Saiyan show up anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
how would Frieza really be able to destroy the entire Saiyan race? Really, logically, when you think about it, unless he
Good.
continues a hunt and escapade on that, like, but that one incident that would have been just probably labeled as the Saiyan rebellion. But uh, those are my thoughts, man. Seven, seven, seven,
Okay.
seven.
So six
There's a
six
lot
from
of
Tim, 7 from you. Okay.
7.5, 7.5.
10.5.
There's a lot of
Okay.
stuff I enjoyed from the Broly movie, man, and just the havoc that was taking place and the destruction and the power. Like, he was just unstoppable, man.
Mm-hmm. So my thoughts. Before I critique it, I'll give it its props. Yes, the design is A1. This is to me the Lord Slug idea done correctly, right? Where it's like Lord Slug, he's a Super Namekian. How? He's a Super Namekian. But how? No, he's a Super Namekian. He's just stronger than your average Namekian. Okay. Like I feel like Broly was like that idea brought to fruition well. Of like
Mm.
he's a legendary Super Saiyan. He doesn't have any of the weaknesses that the Super Saiyan forms that we're seeing at this time, in the series have. He has a very unique design, like you guys said. He's towering over everybody, and he's not slow. Like he's not physically slow. It's not just all bulk, nothing. Like he's keeping up with them at every turn. And then, like how Tim said, he's getting stronger as he's fighting, so he's outpacing them at a certain point. So I love the concept, love his design. Also agree, I do wish he had fought in his regular Super Saiyan form a little bit more before he went legendary. The Paragus scene was great. I love the kind of race against time. We don't really get that a lot in Dragon Ball Z, where it's like we got to beat this guy before a meteorite kills everyone.
Which is a
It's
little
great.
extreme, but
It's a little extreme, but because you're just like, we just saw someone get blown to the sun like 2 movies ago. But it gives you that feeling of like there's stakes here, right? If not for them, for the little green guys that have nowhere to run and are not nearly as powerful as them. You know, so like there's certain things like that where I'm like, okay, cool. I enjoyed that. Like Jory said, the cinematography for the most part is great. You know, there is that sense of hopelessness of like, yo, it doesn't matter who shows up. Nothing has changed. Like that scene after they get whooped the first time of everybody rushing Broly, and it starts in slow motion from his perspective of seeing how slow they are compared to him. And he's just dodging without moving from where he's standing. Great. A1. Like it's just there's a lot of scenes. I don't think outside of Super Android 13, I've ever seen Goku get beat as badly as he did in the first Broly movie. It's bad. Like he gets pummeled. Broly uses his body as a trampoline. He starts punching him through a cliffside. Like his body is bouncing against the cliff and Broly's fist. It's just a ping pong of fist and cliff. A1. But everything else in regards to the plot, in regards to the character, to me is some of the worst of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. All right, guys.
Right? So I'm like,
get the ether, be ready.
To what Tim has said multiple times whenever we discuss Dragon Ball Z, this is where it turns into transformations exceed logic. Once Broly transforms, the movie was over. It was over. They're unable to even scratch him once. So for me, even as a kid, I'm like, for as brutal as this is, it's honestly kind of boring because there's no like back and forth. There is no moment where it kind of seems like they might turn the tides even a little bit. They're getting beat up they're on the defensive and on the run the entire film. Broly clearly has like mental issues, so he's not that interesting as a villain because there's just not much to him. Right? So once Paragus gets taken out of the picture, the guy who's like the voice and the focus and the whatever, it's just a guy laughing maniacally as the Z Fighters get back up one more time to get beat back down again, which makes the ending when Goku's like, give me all of your power, even though we're all half dead. How does this beat this guy at this point? He beat you all at full strength multiple times.
And mind you, he was getting more powerful.
And he was getting strong. He was weaker then when he beat you guys up the first 2 times. So how is it that when Goku's half dead, y'all are half dead? When he gives you his power, now you're able to open up a hole in his chest. And I know the fan stories over the years. Oh, Goku just so happened to punch the area where he was stabbed as a baby. Come on, fam. What are we talking about right now?
No.
Plot, armor took place. Let's call it for what it is.
Yeah.
We've written ourselves into a corner and we needed to be able to beat him.
Yeah.
Plus...
And you know, they always try to like, you know, always bring the most plot armor to Goku as well. Because remember, he's the star of the show, so he has to be the one to deliver the final blow.
Right. To the point that it defies literal logic of like, if he's gotten, it didn't make sense. It looks cool, right? Again, if we're talking about cinematography, all these things that are happening look dope. Right? Like it would have been more interesting if there was a little bit more of a back and forth between them and then Broly eventually overpowers them because like Tim said, he's getting stronger, but he was winning from the first punch. So I'm like, even if he was getting stronger, how could I tell? How could I tell? He's putting them through buildings off 5 minutes in. Gohan didn't even get a kick in before he even like, oh, my power is overflowing. I'm like, bro, this is not interesting. And then on top of that, it's like the way they handle Vegeta and Goku in this scenario, it's like it's like they don't feel like themselves, if that makes sense. Like you said, S-Rank, like the whole thing about Trunks being like the audience, it's like, do you not see what's happening? Are you blind? Are you deaf? You don't think it's... Go ahead.
I also think that's the part of the era of Dragon Ball Z where they started to make Goku and Vegeta just like mascots in a sense, but then no real logic to back it up. Like their brilliance started to go away because I tell people all the time, one of the best versions of Vegeta to me was Namek Saga. When he was when you really look at it, he was like the boogeyman of that entire saga to Frieza's army. He was taking them boys out piece by piece, and he was so tactical. Even like how like when he raided Frieza's ship, bro, like he knew like, all right, there's only one way I'm gonna get close access to them. And of course, Zarbon came by, so it was a win-win situation with him. They know they're gonna want to take me alive, question me, all that other stuff. So they'll fix me up halfway, and then I'll just use that as an opportunity to do what I need to do. And it worked out in favor for him. And it was to the point where like Frieza was like, all right, call in the Ginyu Force because I'm tired.
Right. And even when you see him in the Cell Saga, it's like you're seeing Vegeta be overconfident, not stupid.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference. Like he's not being stupid. He's just overconfident. He's like, I can't be beaten. I'm a Super Saiyan. I can't be beaten. I'm Super Vegeta. I can't be beaten. And he gets humbled. Right. That's different from the Vegeta we see in this movie. It's like, fam, do you not, again, like, to Tim's point, it's like Vegeta is the tactician. What are you doing? Like, oh, I'm going to go see the Legendary Super Saiyan, go get the ship ready. It's like, you don't see this planet is pretty much barren. This is the planet they're preparing for you. You don't find it funny that every time they send you for this Legendary Super Saiyan, they find nothing. Even the part where like Broly jumps Goku when he's sleeping, it's kind of convenient that Vegeta was nowhere to be found, right? Like all of a sudden, Vegeta can't sense ki anymore. It's just a lot of different things. So I'm like, are they making them idiots?
And then
in this movie?
That's a good point. And then you have like there's no other Saiyans, and you giving me this planet to rule over people that's not me.
Right.
Over these.
It's rocks, a palace, and these little green aliens that have no like. And I'm so
were they Tuffles?
They weren't called Tuffles. They weren't called Tuffles. But it's just like, to your point, it's like you think that what we know about Vegeta of all people, that he'd be like, you know what? Yeah. This looks like me. This feels like me. This, and then even the whole thing with them saying like, oh, he initially fights Broly, but his Saiyan instincts kick in and realize he's a legendary Super Saiyan. It's like, you don't think his instincts would have kicked in before he realized Broly was legendary Super Saiyan? He was gunning for this man up until he realized it was him. What changed? I'm looking for him. Oh, he was next to me the whole time. It's like, bro, it's like the writing, besides the whole baby and the cradle thing. I'm like, nothing about this plot. This is Lord Slug with Saiyans in terms of writing.
Yeah.
If you really want to be honest, the writing is not good. It's not. It's not. It's one of those things where it's like, huh?
They're gonna come after you.
That's fine. It's fine. It's just like, it's one of those things where I'm like, again, I don't mind people appreciating Broly, the character design, the uniqueness and moves, right? I think it's super dope that every time he tries to blast, the whole screen turns green and then compresses into his hand. That's fire, right? That's fire. I know we're about to talk about the character. Fire. A1. But if we're talking about Broly as a movie and as a concept, it's not good. It's not revisionist history. It's not like, oh, people want complicated stories. I'm like, listen, even at that time as a kid, I didn't return to the movie very often. I'm like, the fights are one-sided. Broly just seems, I'm like, you have a beef with Goku, the baby, more so than you have with the king who ordered you to get stabbed as a baby. That's what your beef is. You should have been feeling this way about Vegeta. They stabbed you and threw you in the garbage, my man. But you remember Goku crying in the crib. Because like Tim said, Goku's the main character. It has to be about him. Like, you had, the blueprint was right there. You wrote it. You wrote it. So for me, it's just like, it's not the worst movie. I still think Lord Slug is the worst movie, but Broly's right. The Broly movie is right there for me. It's right there. It's not a 7 out of 5, 7.5 out of 10 for me. It's not a 6 out of 10. It's like a 4. Maybe in a 3.5. Like, again, I love his design. I love his fighting style, but everything else about this movie is utter garbage, nonsense. And I feel like he's been salvaged more by the video games and like Tim said, the Super movie, which was 10 times better writing than what we got in this film, to me.
Yeah, it was.
So that's how I felt about him, both as a plot and as a villain. What do you guys think about him as a villain?
Villain is a right around the same, man. It's a 5 or a 6 out of it for me because, like I
Mm.
said, there was no depth to his character. It was like once the mind control ban went off and then he just transformed. It was just let me pound you till this planet gets blown up. That's all. That's all it really was. There was nothing really connected to him that really. And then when you really look at like the stakes, especially like seconds before the planet blows up and how he survived, I'm just like, okay. I mean, yeah, like bro, like, and of course, they just gave this character 2 sequels. Well, 1.5, I would say.
Well, we can call it two. We can call it two. Especially the sequel that, as the fans say, ruined his character because his character had so much depth and richness to it before he was cloned. Right? Like that's the narrative we're going with. Oh, this movie ruined Broly. Like, if
Did it?
did it? Does a trash can become more trash? I'm confused. That's right. What do you think about Broly as a villain?
Nah, yeah. Uller, Bardock, Bojack even. We're not on that yet, but um Android 13 has a better plot than Broly. Better motives. It's crazy.
Let's just
Um,
call it what it is, bro.
you know what, man? He still get a 7 because it's still is the spectacle still fun to watch, man.
I get it. Again, I
You
get it. I
know,
understand. It's like in concept, it's a hard to match.
I
But then,
do have
especially given, go ahead. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. Go
I
ahead.
do have one. He blew up the aliens' planet
You did in front of them.
light years away.
Mm-hmm.
The movie should have been over as soon because I'm like, wait, dog, Goku, you none of y'all could withstand that. Y'all not Kryptonian. So it's like, oh man, yeah. No, it was he's a 7, man. He's Bane, Joker, Hulk. So you know what I'm saying? Well, not Bane, maybe Joker, Hulk.
That's disrespectful to 2 out of those 3 characters, bro.
No, it would. I mean, just the laughing part. Just the laughing part, man. We'll go with Suicide Squad, the first Joker Suicide Squad. All right, we'll go with that one.
Because Joker
So
got way more intelligence,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Bane got way more
But
intelligence
the
than what we
thing,
saw from Broly.
as far as the green hair and the maniacal laugh, I mean, y'all can't say that he didn't borrow. At least for me, or the Hulk or whatever.
But see, but that goes back to what I was saying when we were talking about Android 13. Of like, when I see certain characters that come before Broly,
So
it's
that's what that was. Is he's more of an Android 13
no,
refinement.
it's just yeah, definitely one, but 2. I think it's also one of those things where like it speaks more, I guess, to the casual fan base, right? Of the casual fan base is just very saying, right? And
Hmm.
that kind of leads to, in my opinion, some of the problem with modern Dragon Ball. Of like, they know which button to push in case of emergency, and they push it every single time. Of like, you could have these other interesting plots, you could find the way to get the Earthlings involved or these other secondary characters involved, but you're just like, I'm gonna go Saiyan every time because Broly sells toys, Turles sells toys, a Saiyan something will sell toys. And I just kind of feel like, I'm like, what in this movie did we get that we didn't get in Android 13?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I
because when you
struggle to
really
find
look
an
at it, it
answer.
was the same format, bro. Once he transforms, he beats everybody up, and then it's another spirit bomb, give me the energy type of finish.
Power of
Right.
friendship.
But I would
The
even
power.
argue that Android 13's finisher is better than Broly's finisher. Because at least I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, we're seeing Goku do something we've never
What
seen
is
Goku do
Broly's
before.
finisher?
He absorbs the key from all of his friends and punches a hole through his Broly's chest.
No, oh no, I thought you meant okay, I thought you meant like the villain's finishers.
Oh, no, no, no. I mean, like, in terms of, like, how they were defeated. Like,
Okay.
I would argue that Android 13 getting punched through the chest by a Spirit Bomb fist is a lot more visually compelling and makes a lot more sense than Goku, who is half dead, getting energy from his half dead friends and is able to defeat Broly, who has, as we know, has gotten even stronger. To me, like I said, like even as a kid, like I don't understand this movie. I don't get the hype. I don't understand. Maybe like I'm like because I'm not part of that casual fan base of like I don't understand why this is like nah. This was the character. This was the one. Other than like I said before, timing. Right? He comes out in America at the peak of wrestling. He comes out in America where you getting Dragon Ball Z paper plates for your birthday party. You know, it was timing is everything, right? Like he dropped the mixtape at the perfect window and it was history from there. That's how I look at it from the outside looking in. So I know you guys who've enjoyed these movies at least a little bit more than me. Like maybe there's a perspective that you guys can give me that I just don't see. I don't see why people like Broly so much. I don't get it.
like I said, it's more of an aesthetic type of thing, bro. Because that's why I tell people
Yeah,
all the
Super
time, like
Saiyan.
the best character to me out of the entire movie saga was Cooler to me
Mm.
because he had the most logical sense, and even just his display of how he did things just made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I kind of feel like Dragon Ball Z started to really lose, like it started to lose the stakes and the sense of things. Like these are tactical fighters. And that's why I kind of really love the era of Dragon Ball. When you really look at it, like Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, and even Chaozu to a point, like it was
Mm-hmm.
about technique. But then after a while, things shifted about everything is about like massive color palette transformations and who has the last energy blast, even though technically it kind of doesn't make sense.
It definitely doesn't make sense.
And they just kept going and going and going. And and even sometimes in these later movies, the power balancing started to just go out the window. It's like once y'all got rid of scouters, next thing you know, everybody's just doing anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Power on 70 quintillion billion million. And
And
you
it's
don't
like
understand,
how,
Tim. They got key control. That's why they don't blow up the earth every time they throw a punch. What do you mean?
I guess. And I mean, I guess we could really wrap this up because to be honest, the next movie was not even better.
We about to wrap it up. I wanted to again in the format that we presented it. Did you guys feel like the heroes in this movie worked for y'all?
No, no,
Mm,
no. They were just punching bags, and that's what it was. And then they just won by the grace of the plot.
yeah, that's
I'll
that's
say
that's my
this.
thought. Go
I'll
ahead,
say
Frank.
this. This probably does a lot for Dragon Ball Z fans the same way um when Kuma showed up for Luffy the first time and everybody got erased.
I don't know if that's an
No, no,
equivalent.
no,
No.
no,
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 no.
no.
Listen to what I'm saying. I said does for Dragon Ball Z fans.
Nah, bro. No.
The reason why I said that, I gotta finish my thought.
Okay, go ahead.
The reason why I said that, because this is the first time where these guys are getting destroyed at the way they are getting destroyed. You know what I'm saying? Like they're getting beat up the way they're getting beat up. It was a lot of shock and a lot of the way I'll have to say the animation contribute to it, but the way they were getting just destroyed was just like the last finishing scenes for a lot of people, like the end game scene where everybody was just being disintegrated in the dust. So for a Dragon Ball Z fan to see Goku, Trunks, Piccolo, Vegeta, most of the Z fighters. getting obliterated by the Super Saiyan who's not on their side. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Not cooler, not cooler. I'm saying he's not Turles, he's not Raditz, but he's a Super Saiyan that probably achieved Super Saiyan before they have. And so now
Mhm.
this everybody in the power scale, like, yo, he's Super Saiyan before you. He's not even Super Saiyan 2. Right? So now this is round two now. This is when all the Z fighters rush Broly. And that's where that Mortal Kombat AMV goes hard. You know what I'm saying? So and that I think for them people for what that did for One Piece fans, it might not have been the emotional attachment, but for Dragon Ball Z people, well, not Dragon Ball Z people, but for Dragon Ball Z fans, that was probably what it was for them. It was, oh my gosh. Again,
Um,
the
I
peak of wrestling, the
I
peak
can't
of
say that, bro,
the
because
peak of wrestling, the peak of you got your to display power, you're showing your very most dominant characters by them being big and him just walking through everybody. So for people to see that and see what was happening, like these guys are getting tossed up. It's like summoning Exodia. Who don't want to see Exodia?
but
Even
then what was the difference between Android 13? Because he did the same thing to
He did
them.
the same thing with
he
the
did the
same
same
cast.
thing. He did the same thing with the same cast, but guess what, man? Color palette, man.
He's blue and
I,
orange.
no, 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 no. Hey, so Android 13 is gonna sell over Brawley? You a kid in the store. Who you picking?
Okay, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. That's a fair point. That is a fair
The
point.
the Dark
On the toy
Magician
side, on the
Yeah.
or the
toy
tool?
side,
No, but
but
that
story
that
side, bro,
just
it's the
but
same
no,
thing,
but
bro.
it don't matter. It's the aesthetic. It's it's okay. It's Marvel versus Capcom 2. The first the first edition, right? Or imagine if they did Marvel versus Capcom 2 with the graphics from part three. No, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite with a new with a updated aesthetic that's similar and just as good as part three. All
But
of a
then,
sudden,
but that's where I have to give you pushback because the Broly movie is not as good as Android 13. That's my whole thing. It's like you're right. I'll completely agree with that. Aesthetic wise, you're a kid in the toy store. You're picking up the Broly's figure before you pick up the blue guy with red hair. 9 out of 10 times for sure.
orange hair.
Orange hair, right? That being
Terrible color
said,
scheme. Green
yeah. That being
pants.
said, as a movie, I don't see how people are drawn. It's not better written. It's not better executed. It's just like there's nothing there that to me is like this is a better movie than what I just watched, and definitely not a better movie than any of the cooler films.
It's Uchiha Madara versus the Ninja Army for Dragon Ball Z fans, man. It just didn't have as big as the cast, man.
Even
I
that
would
was
I
better
wouldn't
than
even
what
say
I
that.
saw.
No, but
I,
that had writing behind it. But you
But
know,
that's what I'm
that had
saying.
writing
yeah,
behind it.
that's what we're saying. Like, there's writing to enforce all those other things. This one does not. It's just
It's
pure.
hollow.
It is just pure. Oh, this is what we thought we should have been, and that's it. And there's nothing to back it up, bro. Nothing. And they just kept going. They just kept going.
They double down.
They doubled down, bro. They doubled down, bro.
Because even the reason the whole comparison to Kuma, I'm like, I don't agree with that because one, that's not the first time we've seen the Straw Hats be defeated. One,
Yeah.
two, again, it's the writing. It's the writing.
All
The
right.
the stakes that are at play at that point are way more emotional. You're way more invested into what's happening than watching Vegeta be cratered into a side of a cliff when he's been crying for the past 20 minutes. And Piccolo of all people was like, "What are you doing?" It's this. There's no. I don't feel anything. I don't understand why Goku is not like Broly's clearly the legendary Super Saiyan. Let's jump him now. I don't like this whole like lackadaisical approach to like everything in the movie. I'm just like I felt like you said, Trunks is the perfect. We're the audience. Like, what are y'all doing? What are we doing here right now?
Yeah,
What's happening?
it's written bad. Yeah, it's written bad. Yeah, it's written bad.
Yeah, it has good cinematography. Again, Broly's moves are iconic. The like you said, the transformation scene will go down in history, and he has a move set like few others. But it's like he to me is the especially at least I can only speak for American culture. I don't know why Japan likes Broly so much. For American culture, he is the culmination of the right concept at the right time. If you liked wrestling in Dragon Ball Z in the 2000s, we got your character for you. It gets no better than this guy. He just clotheslined Trunks through a building. Like
that uppercut, man.
Yeah, like
that uppercut.
There's
man.
no, you know what I'm saying?
Mortal
Like it's just
Kombat uppercut.
Jumped off the top rope. It's just that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things where I'm like, I understand the love for his character design. I 1000% do. But in terms of a movie, I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't understand the whole like he was ruined by his later movies. I'm like, he's been bad since his debut. Like Tim said, that super version of Broly saved this character. Completely redeemed this character.
Tenfold.